So, hello everyone. My name is Niklas Ahlberg. I work as a consultant at Cygate in Sweden. I call myself a default geek with a strong passion for all things MEM. Have a background in SCCM and endpoint management in general, and of course I have a kind of a secret crush on identity and of course Microsoft 365 security and all that good stuff as well. If you want to, feel free to follow me on Twitter. I'll put a QR code here for you to just open your camera on your cell phone and it will take you to my Twitter account. You'll find me on LinkedIn as well. I have a blog where I do post mostly about MEM related stuff. So I have a couple of tools and kind of a how-to step-by-step kind of thing going on that blog. So if you want to, feel free to check that out. But today we are going to talk about identity rights. So we are going to have a look at how to optimize the user on and offboarding with identity governance. So with no further ado, I would like to give a huge shout out to Anoop and Jitesh and Will team for making this event happen. I can only imagine the amount of time put into making this great event happen. So thumbs up and thanks to you guys. So identity governance. So if I were to pick 5 things I would like for you to remember from this session, it's that we are going to have a look at some other things that is included in Azure AD Premium Plan 2. And what do I mean by that? Well, so when we are thinking about this premium plan, we are usually thinking about identity protection and PIM maybe and some other stuff. And for some reason, identity governance has been forgotten, slightly, at least in my opinion. So I'm going to shine some light on that today. We are hopefully going to accomplish a good onboarding experience for our new colleagues. Of course, we are going to give managers the power to to accomplish what they request, because when it comes to onboarding, all that IT usually do is, they obey, we obey. We receive a ticket from the manager where we get, this is the name, first name, last name, and then we create the account, and also we add permissions and so on based on the service request from from the manager. And to me, I don't see the reason for us to do that. So we're going to remove some of the heavy lifting on that topic away from IT and give it back to the managers, but they are the ones in charge anyway. So yeah, and of course we are going to keep track of and control guest access as well, because I mean that's really important. We can't just open up stuff for our guests and at some point we are going to lose control. And of course, as with all things, there's a license and some prereqs to it. So for identity governance to work, it will actually work, even though we don't assign a license, but we will, that's Microsoft wouldn't like us. So what we need to do, we must assign, or we do actually not even need to assign a license, but we do need to have them available for any member who do actually use access packages, which we are going to have a look at. And for our guests, it's a 1-to-5 ratio. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that in our tenant we have 1 Azure AD Premium Plan 2 license available for each 5 guest users who is actually using identity governance. So if we look at this one right here, that's the main difference. So any user who can request an access package and any member user who do actually request an access package will actually need a license. But for our guests, it's just the ones who actually do use it. So there's the difference, and it's a 1:5 ratio. So if we have, let's say, 200 guest users who do request an access package at some point, we are actually going to need 40 licenses. And of course, if we have 100 guest users who do request an access package, we are going to need 20. Yeah, and just make it a bit more clear, no licenses are required for guests who can request an access package but do not do so. So that's the main difference when it comes to licensing between, our company members and our company guest users. Just a pretty high level kind of thing here when it comes to the user life cycles. So what we do, I think we all know about this one. We get a service request, we create a new user. Sometimes, maybe, I don't recommend it, we copy an existing user just to make it a bit more easier for ourselves. Please don't do that. We should create a new user with a minimal permissions, and it should just be related to the first job role. So if we are going to onboard a new user for HR, please just assign permissions related to what our new colleague is actually going to need, and we are going to use access packages for that in this session. But so let's say our colleague works at our company for a couple of years and actually changed the job role. So let's say we change job role from HR to marketing. What could happen really easily is that we add marketing permissions, but we forget about removing the old permissions. So what we will end up with is a user with the first job role permissions and the second job role permissions. So we will have too much permissions for our user, and that could be really hard to keep track of. So we need some kind of logic behind to help us out with accomplishing this. And when it comes to offboarding, or if the user is going to retire, we remove permissions by using access reviews, for example. So enough with the PowerShell slides. Let's have a look at what it looks like. So I'm going to jump into our Azure portal. So this is just a demo, really light demo tenant that we are going to use. And I'm going to, bear with me just a second. Okay. So what I usually do, we need to have some kind of dynamic groups for this to work accordingly. So what I do, I like to create department related groups. So let's call this one, well, we have already been talking about HR. So let's say we need to create an access package to onboard our HR members. So let's start off with a group name, HR all members. Okay, and we are going to make it a dynamic group, and we are going to add a query. So just equals HR. Okay, so there we have it. So all users within department equals HR will end up in this dynamic group. So let's create that one. Make sure it shows up. Okay, so here we go. And as you can see, we can assign licenses to this one. So let's go to Azure AD licenses and all products. And here we go. So here we are, have our licenses. And as I said, we did actually just need Azure AD Premium Plan 2 for this to work, but let's assign. So this is what I have, to me in this demo tenant or lab tenant. So I'll start off with this one, the EMS, because this one does actually include the Azure AD Premium Plan 2. And then we're going to assign this to the HR group that we just created. HR, all members. Okay, and because we are going to do a demo on Teams and SharePoint groups, we will actually need a license to be allowed to open Teams as well. So let's assign the Office 365 E5 license. Typically, what we see nowadays is usually a Microsoft 365 license of any sort, premium or enterprise license, but this is what I have right now. So as you can see, we have assigned the licenses to our member group, our dynamic group. So let's create a user. So normally we will probably, we will get a ticket on our hands, and we would create the user. Maybe this works for hybrid identity as well, but for just to make it the demo a bit easier, we were going to use cloud identity in this case, but keep in mind this will work for hybrid as well. So we're going admin account to the tenant as an admin with this tool, and of course this tool is not needed to create a user, but that's what I'm going to use right now. So this will be our internal HR member, and we will need a department because that's what we use in our department, or sorry, our HR dynamic group. And for the license to be allowed to be assigned, we need a usage location, and then of course the domain. Confirm next. I will copy the strong password, and then I will put it in my. Now we have created our user with no permissions. You saw that I didn't copy any existing user and so on. So let's see if it will end up here at some point. Okay, so here is our HR member, and it will of course end up in this group, but sometimes it's not that quick of a deal. Let's see, yeah, one user, and that's probably Diego. So what we could do to actually update, make this query run, if we need to kind of push it, we are in a hurry for some reason, then we can, you see here, membership last updated. That was a couple of minutes before I created the new user. And we do not have an update button on our hands, but what we could do is go to our rule, click edit here, and just put a white space. That means, just hit space, click OK, and save. And soon enough, it should update. So that's kind of a good to know if you didn't already. This is kind of a new information to me, but it has been working pretty well, I would say, to do this. And of course, while these licenses are assigned to our user, the mailbox is created. They give probably some default access to teams, if you have like all employee teams and so on. And all this happens when we have this set up this way, it all happens magically. So let's see, it should be, yeah, okay, so here we go. So now we have 2 members in this group, and it's running. And as you can see, this probably works actually to just add the white space at the end. But what I do, I don't like it, so I just revert it back to make it look more pretty. Okay, so now we have a new user account. We have added it to a dynamic group automatically. All we did from IT was create the account. Probably you would have some kind of workflow for that to happen as well, but in this demo tenant we don't. So in best case, IT has not even touched this at all at this point. We could make this work automatically. So let's sign in to Teams with this new user that we just created. So we're going to, new password. Just so this is kind of the user experience. And there should be no teams available to us because this tenant is empty currently. Yeah, so here we go. So no teams. So let's let's just forget about this for a while and head over to identity governance, because that's why we are all here. And identity governance, the most, in what I believe is the most used feature within the identity governance is probably PIM, privileged identity management. And good to know PIM is actually part of identity governance. So yeah, if you have already had a look at PIM, please do keep looking into identity governance, for there's some really good stuff in here. And we are not going to go dig deep into PIM in this session. We are going to create a new catalog, and a catalog is where we put all of our resources related to, in this case, in this demo, we are going to create an HR catalog. HR resource catalog. And I have prepared a description for this one. So let's see, this catalog contains HR related resources such as Teams, SharePoint sites, and apps, and access to all default HR AD or Azure AD groups. This catalog includes access packages shared with external organizations, kind of for your information here. So please do add a good description for your catalog. And when you have catalog, you can see it's just like an empty container. There is nothing in it. There's no access packages, no way to actually do stuff with this. So now we need to start adding resources to this catalog. So I am going to click resources and add, and for this demo we are going to use groups and teams. So we have default team, that's our kind of a HR landing zone team. We are going to use a project one for our external organization collaboration, and a salary team as well. Okay, and for SharePoint sites, we probably do not need to do this, but let's do this anyway. Okay. So the corresponding SharePoint sites as well, and we are going to need to add those. And as you can see, we just kind of put resources into a container. We have not yet specified who can access them or what kind of privilege you get for each team and SharePoint site when you gain access. So a catalog is just a container, and when we need to dig deeper into who and what, we need to create an access package. And we can do this either directly from the landing page here from Identity Governance, click Access Packages and add, or we could do it directly from the catalog. So that's what I'm going to do here. So click New, and I'm going to copy the name here and my prepare description. So this access package contains default HR resources. So this is access packages. Internal users must request access. The access package is not shared with external organizations. So this is for our internal use only. And now we need to pick what from the catalog we're going to put into this access package. So here you can see that here we have our team sites. So we could pick all of them, but maybe salary would need some kind of, it should probably not related to the default, because maybe you have a small group within the HR department doing salary. So maybe you do not want to add that one, and we are not going to do so in this case. So we will add the default team and the project one. And as you can see, I always I tend to when I have added this one or the groups and teams and SharePoint site also for that matter, 9 times out of 10 I forget to pick a role for each resource. So I just click next. But if you do that, you will end up with an error at the end. So what I would like to see here is like a red asterisk to let you know that you can't continue before you have actually defined the rules, roles. Sorry. So what we can see here, we will make kind of a member. Oops. So for each SharePoint site and group or team, we will make them member and request. So this is kind of a who can request access to this access package. So the first thing we need to have a look at is what's the use case. Because this is for our internal users, we are going to pick the first one here for users in your directory. And we could make it specific users or teams. We could make it, all users. Kind of, it all comes down to the use case. But in this case, we are going to approve this only for all of our HR members. And because we are an HR member, remember the dynamic group we created, we do not need an approval because we have already been enabled to this one. So in my mind, at least, the approval workflow is not needed for this. We are going to have a look at this for external guest users soon. So don't worry, we are going to dig deep in what we can do in the terms to approval workflows as well. But for this one, we do not need that lifecycle. So for how long will this lifecycle, this access package, be related to us? Do we need it to expire in the future? Yes or no? For this one, we are going to pick never. We are, however, going to use an access review, because that's kind of how we get rid of, old employees and so on. So we're going to pick it. This also comes down to, what we need to do with it. But in my mind, monthly, and probably want to make it 10 days. So duration in days after. So once a month, the access review, we are going to have a look at what it looks like soon enough. But just to explain about the duration here, this will run for 10 days, and after 10 days, whatever we decided and came up with during these 10 days will actually happen. And basically, we could put the manager for each member of the access package to determine whether or not a specific user should have access or not. Or we could pick like a kind of a content owner kind of thing. And for this one, we are going to do this for the HR manager called Diego. So here we go. Diego is our content owner for the Teams and SharePoint sites that we just added to this access package. So he is the one who will actually determine who should keep access or not. And we are going to hit create, and we did not forget about the roles. Okay, good. Could take a couple of seconds. It's usually pretty fast. And here we are in our access package, and we have gotten ourselves an invitation link to send to either our, this would probably be best used for our, external users, but we could use it for our members as well, our internal users. So let's have a look at this one. Ooh. Can't handle the request. Nice. Where are you, my demo gods? Please hold my access down. Okay, interesting. Let's see if we can do like this. My apps.my and change from here. So I'm going to use the admin. And from here, change to my access. Oh no. Is that service down or what's going on? Okay, quick thinking. I'm going to just have a look at my Windows 365 Cloud PC, just to make, because that's in another Azure region. So let's see if it's something in all of Europe or what's going on. Come on. Oh. Okay. Thank you, demo gods. Well, it seems like we cannot access the my access service right now. Let's hope it comes back to us. If someone could please write in the chat, if you would try to visit myaccess.microsoft.com, you should not see what I see. I would just like to make sure whether or not it's on my end or if it's a kind of a general issue here with the service itself. But it seems like that service is down currently, and we don't need that probably. I could just paint the picture. Okay, So quick thinking here. I will just paint the picture for you guys, and also I did actually. So yesterday I was okay. If something doesn't work, and the demigods is not with us, I actually created some slides on this. So you will not get the real life demo, but you would get the kind of the experience anyways in terms of slides. But I'm really interested in knowing whether or not this is on my end or what's going on. Okay, we have now added all of our HR users to an access package, and what they would do if if it didn't, when they click on my access, they would get to kind of they will have a list of all the access packages available to them. All they would need to do is click it and request access, and they would get into in this time they would get the Teams and the SharePoint sites available to them. So and that's kind of the onboarding experience here for our internal users. We could use this for apps. If we are into MEM and endpoint management, we could push HR specific apps to this group, and they would get it on their devices, on their, doesn't matter if it's a Windows, Android, or iOS or Mac OS device, they would get it. And so we could really add stuff into our access package, and really when they gain access to that package, they will have a lot of stuff happening, and the real onboarding is kicking in. And of course, the My Access portal will be demoed shortly, guys, in terms of slides instead. So bear with me here. Okay, so what we need to do now, we have completed our member company onboarding, right? So only your imagination can, set the limit for what you can add into that access package. And of course, I showed you the salary team. You would just need to create a team. So let's have a look at that. Actually, I'm going totally off script here, but I mean, why not? So if we click our catalog, and as you can see, we did add a resource called salary. All we would need to do is create an access package called, probably not default, right? This is the member onboarding. We would probably create an access package called HR salary users or something like that. Salary members is probably a better word, and just put that resource in that and push it to either specific persons, users or members, or create a group called HR salary and push it to that group. So that's how we, kind of segment our catalog into access packages. And what we are going to do now is actually we are going to have a look at how we can collaborate with our external guests. And just to show you what I have prepared here is what I think that everyone should have a look at is the default settings here. Please, guys, do have a look at this one, because user access and the guest invite settings, they are too inclusive by the default settings. We need to have a look at those. I'm sure someone on this event will do a bigger or better or a bigger deep diving on that subject. And allow invitations only to the specified domains. I am going to pick my domain here. This means that we can collaborate with this domain or users from that domain. So let's go to our identity governance. So Azure ID, and click identity governance. and click terms of use. Because when it comes to our data, our guests in some way need to know, what's up. They need to, behave. They can't do whatever they want with our data, right? So we need to let them know from a terms of use kind of perspective here. So let's name this terms of use users. And for this one, composer guest user. Something like that. So here I have prepared a terms of use PDF. So we will soon have a look at that. We can pick an English, and this one is really important. We do require users to expand the terms of use. Otherwise, they could just click accept without reading it, and we don't need that or want that. And for conditional access policy, we will pick that. We will create that later because I want to show you where that's done. Otherwise, we would, be redirected directly to that. So what we will need to do now, we have our terms of use. We have added a PDF. What we need to do now is click on security, conditional access, create a new policy, and terms of use, CA, yes, users, all cloud apps, terms of use. Okay. So who will this conditional access apply to? Well, our guest and external users. We will add all cloud apps, and we will grant access if we agree to our terms of use, the guest users. So this is the terms of use we just created in identity governance. We hit create, we put it to on, and let's see. Okay. And as you can see here, we do not have a good group to add. So what I usually do, I create all guest users dynamic group as well. So we will just pick a name, all guest users. It will be in a dynamic group, and we will add a query and just user type, right? So if we wanted to create a custom, we already have one, but we could create an Azure AD group for all of our internal members, and the value would be member, but for this one we would be guest. So user type equals guest. And if we wanted to, we could, because you remember the 1 to 5 license ratio, we could assign licenses to this group if we really wanted to. But keep in mind, we do not need to assign Azure AD Premium Plan 2 licenses to our users. We just need to, have them. So we don't need to assign them to a specific user if we do not want to. So here we have our all guest users, and the only reason I created this one was to show you guys after I have created and invited the guest user, it would end up here. But let's see if it works now. Okay, it doesn't. Okay. Anyways, let's head over to identity governance. And we will click catalogs, and we will, for our external users, we will actually use the same catalog, because remember, this catalog includes access packages shared with external organizations. So what we will do now is we'll create an access package. I'm going to copy the name, create a new one. So this is for collaboration within the HR project called Project 1. And this access package grants access to this project. Guest users must request access. Project owner must approve. And this will just be for the group or team called HR Project 1. And same goes for the SharePoint site. And remember to define the roles. We will make them member. We could make them, visitor, read-only, or something if we wanted to, but in this case, they are actually do some real collaboration in this project, maybe share files and edit files together. Then we need to have member role. And we will pick this one. For internal users, we did pick this one, but for our external collaboration to work, we need to pick, this one. Okay, and what do we have here? Specific connected organizations or all configured connected organizations or all users? I mean, all users would probably include external users from, IT, marketing, and so on. And as you can see here, we haven't got ourselves any connected. Here we do not have the one I added, Niklas Ahlberg tenant. So that's what we are going to do now. So I will just duplicate this tab. No, I'm not. I'm going to open Graph. Sorry. We could do this from the user face, the Azure portal, but I wanted to show you a little bit of Graph as well. So here I'm just going to pick my. Okay. So if you haven't used Microsoft Graph, please do give it a try. There's some real good blog posts and guides out there. Be sure to, out here, as you can see, I'm already logged on, but it's really easy to miss that one and you would get some errors and so on. So the first thing you need to do is sign on. Make sure you are signed on out here on the top left side. And then we probably need to change to beta because that's where we have most of our identity governance. Whoops. So, okay, didn't like that. Let's scroll down to identity governance, maybe now. Usually this works, okay. And entitlement management and connected organizations, because that's what we needed here, right? We need a specific connected organization. So let's add one. And here I have this doing a query. So let me know, guys, if I'm running out of time. That the issue with the My Access page kind of put me off guard here. But so as you can see, we have one already, but that's not the one we want. So I'm just going to show you this real quick, guys. And the domain name will be we will just need to pick NA, and we will need to change this to post and hit query. And if we're lucky enough, we will get this one. And if we change to the get, hit query, we will see that we have two organizations connected. So now we should be able to see. Hopefully I don't need to refresh this. Okay, so here we go. Remember, we did have one just a couple of minutes ago. Now we have two. So this is the one we will need in this case, because that's the HR collaboration domain we are going to collaborate with. And we will need an approval workflow here, and we will speak. So who is going to approve our access request? And as I told you before, Diego is our go-to guy because he's the project owner over project one. And so usually what I do, decision must be made in how many days? 14 days, that's too long. I mean, who wants to wait 14 days? Let's pick 10. And if no action is taken, how long will we wait before we, give access to Alex, who will be our alternate approval? So after 6 days, if Diego hasn't responded to the request, the request workflow will add Alex, and he will be able to to accept or decline the request. We will make this never. I feel like I'm probably running out of time, so I'm going to push this a bit. Okay, what now? Well, we are going to use an access review, of course, and add Diego. And what now? So this is the link we will pick to share to our guest user, and this is what it will look like. So let's head over to my slide here. I feel like I'm really lucky that I did prepare with these slides yesterday, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to show it to you guys, because I mean the sites or the service seem to be down at the moment in Microsoft. So we have this group, we have already checked that one, and just the query. Here we go. So this is the My Access site, and me as an external user will get this. If I were to be if I was a member of more access packages, of course they would end up add up here, but in this demo we have just the one. We click request, and this is what we will see. We must add, and we should add a business justification. I'm part of this project, and we need to accept and this is what it will look like. I have now requested access to this group, or this access package, sorry. And if we look in the the background back end, we will see that my Nicklas Ahlberg account has requested access, and the status is pending approval. And that's when our approver workflow kicks in. It will generate an email automatically and send that to in this case Diego. And here's some quick info for Diego, and he will need to click approve or deny. And this is what he would end up with. So in my access portal, he would need to click approve or deny, and provide a reason for whatever he decides to do. But in this case, he did decide to approve it, and successfully approved. And I will be allowed to access the resource, Teams, SharePoint site, or any enterprise app. And of course, remember the terms of use. So in this case, in this slide, I did try to hit accept directly, but nope, you must view the terms of use before you can accept. Okay, so let's do that. And I mean, there's no denying that. You may only access your data if you think the HTMD is an awesome event. And of course, we do approve with that. And here we go. So after approving the terms of use, I have been given access to the project one, and I can start collaborating with that tenant on this project. In our Azure AD, we will end up with a user from this domain with a user type guest. And as you remember, we did create a dynamic group to catch all of the guest users as well. And access review. So as you remember, on a monthly basis, we want to make sure that we remove any users who do not anymore work on this project in this case. And so once a month, the approver will get an email looking like this, and we need to click the review access, user access, and we will actually, of course, now we have only one user. There will be quite a few users in this typically, and we will actually have a button here, accept recommendation, and here we can see the recommendation, and those are mostly based on whether or not the user did access anything within the access package the last 30 days or not. So we could just click accept recommendations and we would be done, but if we wanted to, we could pick them one by one and go through that list. And in this case, my work on this project is done. So Diego, the project manager, will actually deny my continued access to this project. So he would click deny. This user is no longer working on this project. Access is denied, and submit. And we can see in the access package that my account were actually denied. So not the access package, from the access review. Some tips, real quick tips and tricks. Do not assign access packages to policies to all users group, because then you will need to have an Azure AD Premium Plan 2 license for all of those. Because remember, for our members, we need a license for all users, even if they can use an access package, or if they do, doesn't matter, they will need a license. So if we do not have a license for all users, then don't do that. Use connected organizations to keep track and control of guest users. That's really important. And of course, remember the licensing 1:5 ratio. If we have 100 guests in who is actually working with access packages, we will need 20 licenses. That's how that works. The graph identity governance is still in beta, but works really well. So do try it out. And on-premise apps are supported, but will require an app proxy. And as I said, this works for both cloud and hybrid identities. So thank you guys again. Here's if you would like to follow me on Twitter, feel free to do so. Here's the QR code. I'm sorry for the demigods not being with us. I'm going to dig into that service right now. Maybe I did miss some kind of service window from Microsoft or anything, but for some reason that didn't work. But I'm really happy that I did create those slides for you to still get kind of the look and feel experience anyway. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I haven't had time to look at the questions currently, but if there is any, I feel like I'm probably overdue on my presentation right now, so I'm going to have a look at those and from the chat window here.
Yep, thank you, Nicklas. That was a wonderful session, and I never knew that we could do a lot of things in Azure governance like this. So it was really insightful.